Today, as a pre-qualifier for Paris Brest Paris, I'm riding the Hopland 400k. As I ride, I will offer my usual local history as well as explaining why I ride long distance.
Promise not to do stupid stuff.
Promise not to do stupid stuff.
I wish I was a fisherman, tumbling on the seas, far away from dry land and its bitter memories, casting out my sweet life with a band of London love. No ceiling bearing down on me, save the starry sky above with light in my head. You in my arms. Woo! I wish I was the brakeman on a Hopland fever train, crashing headlong into the heartland like a cannon in the rain, with the beating of the sleepers and the burning of the coal, counting the towns flashing by, and a night that's full of soul with light in my head. You in my arms. Woo! Take me in my hand, I will ride on a train, I will be the fisherman with light in my head, you in my arms. Woo-hoo-hoo.
Starting right now.
The Hopland 400k starts at 6 a.m. near the Golden Gate Bridge, but because I'm a history buff, I'm going to first visit the 120-year commemoration of San Francisco's great earthquake and fire.
You're going to get new hearing aids, I think. Do we have those, Dave? All right, it is 5:11. I'm right on time for crying out loud. All right, here we go.
Ever since 1906, the people of San Francisco have gathered here to commemorate the earthquake that struck the city at 5:12 a.m. After the 1-minute quake, the people who survived must have felt relieved. However, the worst was still to come. Multiple firestorms raged for 3 days, completely decimating the city. The Hopland 400, as well as an upcoming 600k, will pre-qualify me for next summer's Paris Brest Paris. Also known as PBP, this famous 1200k ride is staged every 4 years and dates back to 1891. This ride is organized by the San Francisco Randonneurs. I completed a 300k a few weeks back, which went really well, despite me being undertrained. However, as any long-distance rider will tell you, the 400k is a different proposition altogether, mainly because its time limit does not offer any opportunity for sustained rest or sleep. These long rides offer you lots of time to think. One thing I constantly think about is why I do these rides. Why would anyone sane want to ride these incredible distances? Today, I'll give you my 3 reasons why, and as usual, also share some points of interest along the 400k route. Reason number 1, which is also shared with my BikeEveryHood rides in San Francisco, is simply stimulation. I think at the end of the day, life is really about, or at least best endured, by feeding your brain new experiences. There's no better way to achieve this than on a bicycle. They're machines perfectly suited for constant stimulation. They go fast enough to travel significant distances, but also slow enough to really experience and discover new places. We're particularly fortunate that planet Earth is a very attractive place, and there is something very zen about moving yourself through its many landscapes. For me, I get even more stimulation by understanding the different culture and history of the places I visit. There are fascinating stories everywhere. A case in point is here near Fairfax and involves the mysterious tale of a plane crash way back in 1946. At around 2 a.m., a B-17 Flying Fortress transport plane crashed into White Hill. According to the pilot, the plane was lost and was 6 feet too low to navigate the more than 1,000-foot hill. Unfortunately, 2 of the 7 crew were instantly killed. What makes the story somewhat sinister is the military's response to the crash. The area was immediately cordoned off, armed guards were posted, and cranes were brought in to remove 2 large crates from the wreckage. Ever since then, rumors have spread that the plane was in fact carrying nuclear material or related equipment for the top-secret Bikini Atoll atomic bomb test. Operation Crossroads, as it was known, involved detonating nuclear weapons in the South Pacific to understand the explosion's impact on captured Japanese battleships and also live farm animals. Coincidentally, some of the damaged ships were towed all the way back to Hunters Point in San Francisco to see if the radioactive ships could be successfully decontaminated. 80 years later, there's not much left of the wreckage on the hill, except one of the plane's engines and some other bits of debris. Returning to why I ride long distance. Reason 2 is the idea that these all-day rides are like your life compressed into one day. Most of us live safe, perhaps mundane lives, but long-distance riding is an experience that gets you out of the status quo by offering multiple emotions over a relatively short period. These highs and lows can be extreme and somewhat addictive. One moment you are as high as a kite, the next you are in a dark place, not sure of how you can continue. If you do enough of these rides, you begin to understand that the highs will not last forever and that the low periods will also pass. I think this emotional journey is another reason why many people continue to return to long distance. The mental aspect of the sport is also why older riders tend to do so well, since their life experience allows them to more readily accept the ups and downs. This is the remote town of Bodega, by the way, made famous by both Ansel Adams and Hitchcock's 1963 classic movie, The Birds. After Joy Road, which I think is the toughest climb of the entire ride, we descend to Occidental. I've talked about this special place before. I have so many fond memories of my family spending time here. Most of those times were hosted by the lovely Ganella family who own the Union Hotel. It also features in my beer ride videos where I describe the Union as the spiritual home of our annual tour, which we started back in 2013. Today's ride is definitely a prime example of the emotional volatility associated with long distance. The weather is perfect, I've been hydrating and eating, but for whatever reason, I'm just not feeling it today. I've been dragging and I'm already counting the miles on my bike computer, which is never a good sign so early in the ride. Apart from understanding that this low period will likely pass, there is also the practical consideration that there is no easy way to get home if I was to DNF. My short-term goal is to stop for a burrito in Healdsburg at around the 100-mile mark. Generally, I find that Mexican food and a beer is the perfect way to reset and recover. I get caught by a train of riders 10 miles before my planned lunch. Their plan is to stop at Cloverdale, which is another 25 miles up the road. My decision becomes whether I ride in their draft or stop for lunch and then ride alone. I decided to stick with the group, but started to really struggle before lunch. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a burrito anywhere and had to make do with a subpar Subway sandwich. On a more positive note, however, I immediately began to feel better after food and a rest. In fact, I felt strong for most of the remaining 135 miles. Before I address my third reason for riding long, let's talk about Sonoma County and its place in biking history, particularly female riding. The invention of the safety bicycle back in 1875 set off a biking boom around the world. This area of California was seen as a riding mecca even back then. Clubs sprouted up in towns like Petaluma and Santa Rosa. Ben Noonan of the Santa Rosa Wheelmen famously raced a train on his bike from Sebastopol to Santa Rosa and won. What's even more interesting, however, is that in 1896 the Wheelman Velodrome opened in Petaluma. A huge crowd of 6,000 spectators witnessed 18 bike teams compete in the velodrome's inaugural races. Remarkably, two of those teams, the San Francisco's Alpha Cycling Club and Petaluma's Mercury Cyclists, were composed entirely of women. I think it's something that is often overlooked, but the bicycle had a profound effect on the lives of many women back then. For the first time, women did not have to depend on men for transportation. Suffragists touted the bicycle as a freedom machine, and cycling came to symbolize the ideal of the independent new woman. The bicycle craze also led to a movement for so-called rational dress, which helped liberate women from corsets and full-length skirts. Susan B. Anthony is quoted as saying in 1896, "Let me tell you what I think of bicycling. I think it has done more to emancipate women than anything else in the world. It gives women a feeling of freedom and self-reliance. I stand and rejoice every time I see a woman ride by on a wheel. The picture of free, untrammeled womanhood." It's now past midnight and it's been over 19 hours since I left my home on Nob Hill. One of the nice things about night riding is that hills never seem as bad, mainly because you can't see them. I still feel quite strong, but in true randonneuring fashion, I face one last challenge. I begin to notice an inky black substance on the bike path. It slowly dawns on me that the entire area is completely flooded. This low-lying bike path has lots of issues around flooding, but I wasn't aware that a king tide, as it is known, was a possibility for this ride. My options are to push forward, not knowing how deep the flooding is, or to retrace my steps and ride the shoulder of busy Highway 101 to Sausalito. Fortunately, I was able to navigate the flood in the darkness and only managed to get my feet wet. The third and final reason I ride long is related to how our brains can turn suffering into something we remember as a more positive experience. In endurance sports, there is the concept of Type 1, Type 2, and Type 3 fun. Type 1 fun you experience in the moment and is also fun when you look back on the activity. Type 2 is not enjoyable in the moment, however retrospectively you remember it as fun. Type 3 fun really isn't fun at all. You don't enjoy it in the moment, and looking back it was never fun. What's interesting about long distance is that while we strive for Type 1, we often end up with Type 2. That is, in the moment, not so much fun, but looking back we remember it as fun. Randonneurs, in fact, have a name for this ability that the brain has to make memories more positive. They call it randonnesia, and perhaps without it, the entire sport of randonneuring would not be as popular. I got to the finish at just before 2 a.m, ending up with a rolling time of 17 hours and with a total time of 20 hours. Some of my low moments are still raw, but by tomorrow, as randonnesia kicks in, I will develop a weirdly oversized sense of accomplishment and begin to look forward to my next ride, the Mendocino 600k. Please like and subscribe. Also consider joining my BikeEveryHood club. Link is in the description. Thanks for watching.